Hi, I'm Adrienne, the owner of Performance High Vocal Training and Artist Development.
And I'm Justin. I am a recording engineer and live sound engineer and coach at Performance High.
Do you know who you are?
I'm
Anyway.
not especially sure.
Too many videos in a row.
Too many videos in a row.
Anyway, we're going to talk today about how a PA works. And I'm going to start off with a story about why this is important to know. So we were in a cover band that played in a venue downtown that provided a PA for us. It was this kind of long, narrow room.
It was an installed PA
yeah,
system. Yeah.
It was an installed PA system. So it was great. We didn't have to bring our own PA. However, this particular soundboard was unlike anything I'd seen before. It wasn't digital, which would be a whole different story. We're going to talk about...
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
The PAs with the knobs.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the theory's the same, but they're much easier to use. But this particular PA, it just was laid out differently than I was used to, and if I didn't know how a soundboard worked, well, fortunately you were there, but if you hadn't been there and it was just me, we would have been having to run and go get a PA from somewhere.
And that's not uncommon that venues have PA systems there already, but they don't give you a sound guy.
Right.
So you're responsible for doing it. That said, you might need your own PA. So yeah, we're just going to talk about what they are.
Yeah, just kind of a quick overview.
And I think what's important too is exactly what you said. The theory is the same. So once you understand what a PA is, how it works, what's actually happening, they're all the same. The theory is always the same. Volume is volume is volume. No matter whether it's on a button or a knob or a slider. Yeah, so basic concept. So let's start with talking about the parts of a PA system.
All right.
Where to start?
Big speakers.
Big
Everybody knows
speakers.
that there's speakers on a PA, right?
There are in fact speakers.
Now there are different kinds of speakers.
Yeah, there are.
There's powered and unpowered, and there's monitors versus mains.
Okay.
First comes up for me.
So let's talk about mains first.
Right.
The mains are the big speakers that are facing the audience. Those are the speakers that the audience hears. They're called mains usually. I'm sure there's another word, but mains. Monitors are the speakers that are on the floor facing back at you, the performer.
So you can monitor.
So you can monitor your performance, so you can hear yourself. Important point to make, and you as a singer can speak to this. We won't get into inners yet, but it's really important to learn that what you're hearing in the monitor on the floor is not the same thing as what is in the main going to the audience. Main point being, what you hear on stage is not what the audience hears.
Right. I want to hear my voice really loud.
And kind of only your voice.
Yeah, I hear plenty of your guitar coming out of your amp. I don't need to get it in my monitor.
Right. And a lot of singers are that way. There's enough stage volume.
Yeah.
But the point is, there are two different controls on a mixer. Those are controlled separately. So even if you're performing and there's a sound guy and you feel like, oh, geez, my voice is like really loud, that doesn't mean it's loud to the audience. Monitors are for you to monitor. Mains are for the audience, and they're different.
I would also say it's more common that you can't hear yourself and you feel like you need to sing really loud. Like, they must not be able to hear me because I'm singing as hard as I can and I still can't hear myself. That's where, as a singer, you have to go by feel. But that's a whole different topic.
That's a whole different topic. And you go, well, what do I do if the two are separate? Well, if you're running your own sound, someone in the band is going to have to walk out front while you're playing.
Or the house sound, yeah.
Or a friend that you trust, like, not your mom, because your mom's always going to tell you the vocal isn't loud enough. But anyway, so yeah, we covered monitors, we covered mains. Let's talk about powered and unpowered. So you need three things for a PA. You need speakers, amplifiers, and a mixer. Those are the three main components of a PA system. You could also include mics, but that's kind of obvious. Yeah. So we talked about speakers, monitors, and mains. Let's talk about amps. A speaker can be powered, meaning the amplifier is built into the speaker, or it can be unpowered, which means you need a separate amplifier. Either way, you need an amplifier. How do you know the difference?
Whether there's enough power plug that goes into the speaker.
Whether you plug the speaker into the wall. That would be your easy one. That's your
That's how I would tell.
That's your dead giveaway. Powered means you have to plug it into power. That's not what it means, but that's an easy way to tell. Also,
they're heavier.
They're heavier, and
Powered speakers are heavier.
the powered speakers are heavier, and it's going to say on the speaker. You just read the letters on the back. Also, they have volume knobs on them, and passive unpowered speakers aren't usually going to have knobs on them. So those are a couple easy ways to tell what you're dealing with. If you have an unpowered speaker, you need to find your separate amplifier, and those are usually usually go into a rack, or they may not. They're kind of box shaped, and the amplifier's job is to make everything louder. And again, just because you don't have a separate amplifier doesn't mean you have don't have an amplifier. It means it's either in the speaker, or if you're watching this video from the 90s, it might be in the mixer. But it's somewhere. So getting to the last thing, we've got the mixer.
All the knobs.
All the knobs.
All of the knobs.
Right. And they have digital ones. We don't have to talk about that. They kind of work the same. It's just that the controls for it will be on a screen somewhere rather than a physical knob. What would you say the mixer's job is? Putting you on the spot.
I would say it is to take all of the inputs, like all the different vocals and the keys, and if you're putting guitar through it, if you're miking your drums, take all those inputs, and you can set them at different levels and give them EQs, and then it sends a stereo mix out
to the amplifier, wherever the amplifier is, and then the amplifier plugs into the speakers.
Or it sends more than one stereo mix out to the house,
and that's where your
to the mains.
Yep.
And then potentially multiple different mixes out to
the monitors, right? We don't need to get complicated, but you can think of it this way. You're going to go, sound coming from the microphone is going to go to the mixer, then the sound from the mixer goes to an amplifier, then the sound from the amplifier goes to a speaker. That is what a PA is, you know?
Yeah.
To dial in on what the mixer's job is, a good way to think of that is it's a complicated volume control. When you say turn it up or turn it down, something has to turn it up and down, and that's located on the mixer. The way mixers work is that we get individual channels. So the vocal might be channel 1.
Always channel 1, because it's the most important.
It should never be channel 1. The kick drum is channel 1. You can set it up however you want. You can set it up however you want, but each individual microphone or cable that you're plugging in gets its own channel. Then you've probably seen the little sliders or knobs that I can say I need to make the vocal louder, and I need to make the backup vocal just a little quieter, and then the guitar doesn't need to be that loud, and then whatever needs to be loud. And the mixer is where you're mixing all those sounds, as Adrian said, so that it sounds great for the audience. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, the concept is simple. It's the application that gets more difficult.
And that's why we give the live sound class.
Right.
Is because if you understand the basic concepts, and we go through in that class, we go through the channel strip and talk about what each little section, channel strip is the line of buttons on an individual channel, or it might be on your iPad again. But once you understand what gain is, what EQ is, what compression is, what volume is, pan you probably won't use, but once you understand what all those things are, every mixer in the world has the same things. And you look at, you see a picture of somebody with this huge table-sized thing with thousands of knobs. Those knobs all do the same exact thing. Those aren't thousands of different functions. And once you learn those 5 or 6 things, like red is bad. You don't want to see red anywhere.
Right.
You don't want any of your lights being red. Once you learn those simple concepts, you can really walk in and operate any PA, even if you haven't seen that board before.
Right. And then in the class also, a big thing that you do is talk about troubleshooting, because that's the biggest thing. Like you can understand how it all works and get it all set up, but then why am I getting feedback? Why am I not hearing anything out of this speaker? You know,
Yes.
questions like that.
I would say live sound, we know from gigging a bunch and going into different venues, 8 or 10 times a month. Half of running live sound is troubleshooting.
Yeah.
Like something always isn't the way you think it should be. When you first set it up, there's always something that's not. And so there's a method to going through and figuring out all of those, how do I find my problem and fix it? So that's it's a big part of the class.
Cool. Well, hopefully that helped. And if you want more info, look for when we're next running the Intro to Live Sound class, which is usually about twice a year. It's a 4-hour class.
4-hour class. We will be doing it definitely online. If we can do it in person, we will do that. But
we can do it online?
we can absolutely do that class online. Okay. So if you're anywhere in the world, you can take it. If you just don't want to drive downtown, you can take it. We hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.
All right. See ya.